Both chambers of the National Assembly today passed the Petroleum Industry Bill, bringing to an end the over 12 years of logjam over the proposed legislation. We'll break down the issues for you and the implications of that. And with recent defection scenarios playing out in the political scene in Nigeria, what is the status of the PDP, the main opposition party in Nigeria, amidst the movements, and of course, eye on the 2023 presidential race. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Politics Today, live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Kimbale at Channels Television's global headquarters here in Lagos, Nigeria. I must sincerely thank you, all of our viewers across the world, for keeping faith with us on this program over the past few years. I would like to announce to you tonight that beginning from today, the 1st of July 2021, Politics Today will now be 1 whole hour every weekday. And of course, your Sunday Politics will also remain an hour. And the effort is just to ensure that you get the benefits of all of what we bring in to you on this program. So keep it there with us, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. every day of the week and 8 p.m. on Sunday. So tonight, we begin with a story that has been trending, where we understand that 7 people, including the wife of Mr. Sunday Adeyemo, also known as Sunday Igboho, who were abducted earlier today, have been released by the abductors. The victims were set free in Ekiti State and reportedly given some money to return to Ibadan, the Oyo State capital. They were kidnapped this morning when gunmen attacked Igbo's residence in Ibadan, destroying property and shooting people in the process. Some people were alleged to have been killed and others abducted in the attack, which lasted for hours. Although 7 abductees have been released, a female blogger and some of Igbo's boys are said to still be in captivity. Tonight's conversation is going to be very interesting. Interesting because we're going to be unraveling the voodoo behind what has become a big, big story around the Nigerian petroleum industry. The bill to guide and govern that industry is being passed today by the National Assembly. Both of them agreeing on the same day and looks so much like something that we might see being passed into law very soon. So with me, because the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources will be here with us, and of course we have a governor right here on the program. But before we begin tonight, let's quickly check out some of your political roundup stories.
The Judo KK faction of the All Progressive Grand Alliance has elected Honorable Umeoji Chuma as the candidate of the party in the November 6th governorship election. Honorable Umeoji is a sitting member of the House of Representatives representing Agwata Federal Constituency. The primary election held today in Awka, the Anambra State capital, saw the winner, Honorable Umeoji, polling 904 votes to defeat Chinyere Elizabeth, who scored 73 votes. Last week, the Victor Oye faction held its own primary, where the former CBN governor, Professor Charles Soludo, emerged winner. The federal government is assuring Nigerians that the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Mr. Ennamdi Cano, will get a fair trial. Mr. Cano is facing an 11-count charge of treasonable felony, terrorism, and illegal possession of firearms before a federal high court in Abuja. The Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, gave this assurance during the media briefing in Abuja, and he insists that it will not spare anyone who collaborated with the Biafran leader to launch assaults on Nigeria and its people, no matter how highly placed. He adds that the IPOB leader lived a lavish life prior to his arrests. However, he did not state the country where he was arrested.
We assure you that none of the collaborators, irrespective of their standing in the society, will be spared.
I rise to second.
Lawmakers in the House of Representatives have rejected an amendment calling for the reversal of the federal government's suspension of Twitter. The Deputy Minority Leader of the House, Mr. Toby Okechukwu, had moved an amendment to the report of the ad hoc committee on Twitter suspension, asking the federal government to lift the suspension in consideration of its negative impact on businesses. When the question was put to lawmakers, majority voted to continue the suspension.
At 1 p.m.
Thank you very much. Can we take our seat?
The Forum of North Central All Progressives Congress is asking the Caretaker and Extraordinary Convention Planning Committee of the party to immediately convene a National Executive Committee meeting to avoid lawsuits over the conduct of congresses. Addressing a news conference in Abuja, the Forum spokesman and former Commissioner for Youth and Sports Development in Kogi State, Mr. Stanley Salisu, urged the Caretaker Committee to also summon a meeting of the National Caucus of the party as prelude to the next meeting. The group is also asking the leadership of the party to zone the national chairmanship position to the North Central region.
Considering the contribution of North Central to the fortunes of APC, we strongly deem it right for the position of the national chairman to be exclusively zoned to our region.
The National Assembly has passed the Petroleum Industry Bill after the chairman of the Joint Committee on Petroleum and Gas Resources, Senator Sabo Muhammad, presented a report of the committee to his colleagues. He says the PIB is to replace and update the outdated provisions with a more comprehensive and current petroleum industry law that aligns with global standards. Some of the features of the bill includes the 5% operating cost by oil companies, which is to be contributed annually to the Host Communities Development Trust Fund. The House of Representatives, who was first to pass the long-awaited Petroleum Industry Bill after considering and adopting 318 clauses of the bill. Well, let me allow you to listen to some of the debate on the floor of the Senate today, some of those conversations that led to the eventual passage of the bill. Take a listen to what went down on the floor of the Senate.
President,
It doesn't matter.
I am calling that
Let
the procedure for a division be taken and let's have a division.
I want to appeal that please, distinguished Senator George Thompson Sakibo, I will join the leader to appeal to you and all of us that we should not insist on dividing the Senate. I don't know whether this appeal is going to be considered or not, but it's your right, my brother.
What I'm asking for is not for me as a person, but it's for the interest of this nation. Because when we pass a good law, we must also have a good environment to implement the law. If the environment is not conducive for the implementation, we will all come back to also regret. That is my thinking. So can I appeal to you, sir? That you increase the number a little bit and put the question again. Let's have a compromise, sir. But I withdraw. I withdraw. I'm only appealing to you. Yes.
You will.
What point of order? No, there cannot be point of order on the people who decided. There cannot be any point of order on the people who decided. Oh, sir, I'm sorry, sir.
Well, that's part of the very long hours of deliberation over that bill, which was eventually passed. Senator Sekibo is a Senate representing Rivers State in the National Assembly. The bill was passed after careful consideration of each of the clauses. The Senate had also met behind closed doors with the Minister of State for Petroleum, Timi Presilva, and the Group Managing Director of the NNPC, Mila Kiari. The passage of the bill comes exactly 13 years after it was first presented to the National Assembly in 2008. On 28th September 2020, President Muhammadu Buhari presented the bill to the National Assembly for reconsideration The bill seeks to introduce changes to the governance, administrative, regulatory, and fiscal framework of the Nigerian oil and gas industry in order to ensure transparency, strengthen the governing institutions, and attract investment capital, among other objectives. But the president of the Senate says the Senate expects President Buhari to sign the bill as soon as it is transmitted. Let's talk more about this. What are the meaning of the clauses, and what does it translate to the communities, to Nigerians, to the economy, and all what have you? I'm being joined tonight on the program by the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Mr. Timi Presiva. Your Excellency, many thanks for joining us tonight, and I must say congratulations to you, because in your time, there is a passage of the PIP which for several years it has eluded this nation, and there's been a lot of debate over it. But now that it's been passed, let me get your view. How do you feel tonight, and how does that come to you?
To Nigeria, because from Nigeria, 20 years, we have introduced uncertainty in the investment environment, in the oil and gas investment environment in Nigeria. Today, we have started the process of eliminating that uncertainty. And once we introduce certainty, we expect that investors will come into Nigeria, and we expect to see an exponential growth in investment in the oil industry. For about 20 years now, investment in the oil and gas industry in Nigeria has been stunted. A few years ago, $50 billion was invested in oil and gas in Africa. Only $3 billion of that came to Nigeria. And that was because the Nigerian investment environment was uncertain, in addition to other problems in Nigeria around security. So with this, we believe that with the certainty that has been introduced by the passage of the PIP, we believe that there will be a lot more investment, a lot more funds attracted to Nigeria.
One area that perhaps I like you, there is always, in every legislation, there is always a political twist to some of these things. Have you gotten the commitment of President Buhari on this bill? Does it capture all of those things he wanted? Because when last year he approached the National Assembly with an amended version of this bill, it has been touched up by the National Assembly. But the version in which the conversation you had with the National Assembly, yourself and Mr. Mele Kyari earlier today, the version that is coming out today, does it meet the aspiration of President Buhari? Because at the end of the day, he will have to assent to it.
Well, I believe so. This has been a product of extensive engagement with all stakeholders. The difference that we introduced in this, at this time was engagement with industry and engagement with all other stakeholders in the oil and gas sector. So I believe that this bill will actually meet the aspirations of all stakeholders in the oil and gas sector. Also, it will, I believe, meet the expectation of President Muhammadu Buhari, who you know is the Minister of Petroleum. We drafted this bill from the executive and sent it to the National Assembly, and we've been in constant engagement with the National Assembly, and so we are mostly agreed on all the points that were passed today.
I mean, for someone who has also followed up on this for several years, there is a huge political will to make this happen, considering what the kind of disappointment that has come in between the passage and the drafting of this bill over the last few years. But let me touch on some of the details and the technicalities of this bill. There is a clause there that states that there will be two regulators. You know, we have one regulator, which is the DPR. There will be two regulators as being proposed by this bill, one for the upstream, one for the downstream. Many investors are already complaining about too many regulators and bottlenecks. Why are you increasing regulators, thereby increasing the kind of bottlenecks that investors are saying is a problem to them?
We're not really necessarily increasing regulators at all. This country has focused overly on the development of oil with the exclusion of gas. This bill seeks to actually focus development also in the midstream and on the downstream. Before now, the DPR was the regulator for the upstream and the downstream. The midstream was more or less absent. And frankly, we believe that a big regulator will become too big and you will not be able to span the whole sector. For example, you have so many filling stations in Nigeria, so many thousands of filling stations. You will agree with me that it is difficult for one regulator to be regulating both the upstream and be regulating what is happening, be following what is happening in each and every filling station in Nigeria. We believe that it will be too big for one regulator. The whole gamut of the industry, the value chain of the industry will be too big for one regulator. So what we have done is to focus on focus the industry on two regulators. One to take care of the upstream, which is going to be the Upstream Regulatory Commission, and the other regulator to focus squarely on developing the midstream and the downstream. And we believe that this will be more optimal because it will be more efficient. But if you have a big regulator, it may not be as efficient as we expect it to be.
But the issue now is that Nigeria is supposed to be in tune with what is happening around the world. This is a moment where the rest of the world are cutting down on the bottlenecks. And Nigeria is now proposing a law that will now create more bottlenecks. So if you create this regulator, how can you assure Nigerians that there won't be frustration to investors with bottlenecks?
No, I don't know what, no, Shehu, I don't know what you mean by bottleneck. It's not as if you finish with the upstream regulator and you are to move from there to this, the midstream and downstream regulator. No, if you are an upstream operator, you go to the upstream regulator. And if you are a downstream or midstream operator, you go to the midstream regulator. It is, in fact, introducing more efficiency. It is not introducing a bottleneck at all. We believe that if you have a single regulator that is too big, an unwieldy single regulator, it will actually be the introduction of bottlenecks. But in this case, we feel to make it more optimal and efficient, let us focus the regulators. So one regulator focused on the upstream sector, the other regulator focused on the midstream and downstream. I think this is even for efficiency. It is not to introduce bottlenecks at all.
Aramco, the equivalent of the NNPC in Saudi Arabia, the nation of Saudi Arabia sold 10% of its shares in Aramco and listed it on the stock exchange. It's being tagged as very successful. Why are you not selling a good stake of the NNPC to Nigerians for sake of transparency? And why is it not now listed on the stock exchange? Are you thinking in that line? And if that's so, when will that happen?
Look, let us walk before we run. Right now, what the law seeks to achieve is to move NNPC from a corporation, from a parastatal of government, to make it a karma company. Let it run commercially. And then, going forward, we can think of what to do with it. Whether we're going to go public and sell, of course, float the company like, of course, Saudi Aramco did. That is for the future. But for now, this is a major leap from moving NNPC from being a parastatal of government to becoming a karma company. At least let us savour this victory first before we introduce other levels.
I played a sound bite earlier on when the lawmakers were debating the issue of the percentage payment to host communities and all of that. Can you explain to us, Honorable Minister, the 2.5% payment to host communities by the operating companies? How is that going to work? Won't it bring more problem? I'm looking at it from what we currently have. There's been crisis in the refining areas in Nigeria, the exploring areas in Nigeria. How do you apportion the percentage in these communities?
Well, of course, structures will be already prescribed in the law that will be formed by the settler. The settler will be part of the process. It will determine the communities within which he is operating, because he knows the communities that he dealt with before he started operating. And of course, they will all the communities will come together and set up this structure to manage this fund. Before now, the problem, it was not a legal process at all. It was just to sign MOUs with communities, MOUs that were mostly not fulfilled by the companies. And of course, you couldn't take them to court because they were just memorandums of understanding. But now you have a legal framework. So there is money provided from the operational cost, from the operational spending of the previous year. So everybody knows what the money available is like. And then, of course, this structure that we formed between the companies and the communities will now look after this money and focus the development on the communities. Before now, the problem is there's been a lot of expenditure on communities. Of course, the NDDC is one of such commissions that have been set up by government to develop communities in the oil-producing areas. But some of these commissions are not targeted at the communities where oil is produced. For example, the problem can be in the west, but the direction of the NDDC might be in the east. So it is not targeted at the host communities. But of course, this fund will now be focused on developing the communities, so it will actually hit where the shoe is pinching. The companies know exactly where their problem is. The companies know where their production is coming from, and they will focus it on developing those communities, and I believe that we'll be able to achieve very good results this time.
Just for a moment, I'll still come back to the PIB. There are a few issues on the issues of climate change. The 90 released a report saying that Nigeria loses several billions of dollars for the non-passage of the bill. But now, good news, I would like to know which areas Nigeria might be able to secure some of these funds that have been lost. But let me first and foremost, before I go into that, get your view on the issue of the subsidy. The federal government has spoken about the issue of subsidy and how inconvenient it is for Nigeria to continue paying subsidy on fuel. Are we expecting, because the Minister of Finance spoke about it today, that we can no longer conveniently pay subsidy on fuel, that we need to do something? When are we seeing the stoppage of the payment of subsidy? And with that, of course, naturally amount to increase in the pump price.
Of course, definitely, I have always said it everywhere, that is the way to go. Removal of subsidy is the way to go because subsidy is unsustainable. I believe that the people themselves that we are targeting to benefit are not the ones benefiting from subsidy. Subsidy is benefiting the elite, not the ordinary Nigerian. The fuels that the ordinary Nigerians use mostly are kerosene. The fuel that transport food for the ordinary Nigerian is diesel. And diesel and kerosene have been deregulated long ago. Unfortunately, the only fuel that has defied deregulation is petrol, which is the preferred fuel of the elite. But the government continued to pay a lot of money, trillions of naira, to subsidize this single product. I believe that this is not sustainable, and of course, it will go at some point because we cannot carry on forever. But of course, we know that this will come with pains, and that is why, at this moment, engagements are going on with stakeholders to look at how some of those pains that will come with the removal of subsidy will be alleviated. We are also looking at the possibility of introducing an alternative fuel. In fact, you talked about energy transition. We want to also introduce this transition in this sector so that people can have a choice of using either petrol for their cars or using gas for their cars. That process is also ongoing because we want to be able to have a critical mass of vehicles converted to utilizing auto gas, and then set up a critical mass of dispensing stations. And we believe that that will kickstart the whole process of choice and democratizing the fuel usage in Nigeria.
We're due for a break. We'll go on a break.
People can go, you can decide to use whatever you want. If you want PMS,
all right, Honorable Minister, we're due for a break, but when we come back, I have just one last question for you, and we'll wrap up with you on this PIB and the way forward for Nigeria. Stay with us, everyone. Don't forget, we have a governor with us on the program on similar issues. We'll be right back. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. Welcome back to the program. Our concluding moments with the Honorable Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Chief Timipre Silva. Thank you so much, Your Excellency, for your time tonight. The final question I have is a lot of talks about the non-transparency of the oil and gas sector and how it can be more transparent. In fact, there is always talk about how many billions Nigeria lose every other year due to the non-passage of the PIB. I remember in 2016, the Nigerian Extractive Industry Transparency Initiative, NITI, said that Nigeria has lost about $200 billion due to non-passage of the bill. In practical terms, if you can tell Nigerians tonight, Honorable Minister, if this bill is passed, how will Nigeria gain those monies?
I said it earlier, Shehu, that without this bill, there was so much uncertainty in the investment environment in Nigeria. So we couldn't attract a lot of investors. Let's take it. Let's take an example. We were able to discover within a very short time, between 2002 to 2007, our reserve base grew from about 22 billion to about 37 billion barrels. And between 2007, when the process of amending our laws began, we lost investment, and we have only been able to grow our reserves by about 500 million barrels between 2007 and today. That tells you that not much investment was coming. Even the IOCs that are already in Nigeria were not investing in Nigeria because they took a sit-down-look approach. Hello?
Please
Hello?
go ahead. Please go ahead.
Well, if you remember, we had bid rounds in 2005 and bid rounds in 2007. The IOCs that were in Nigeria did not participate in those bid rounds because the investment environment was uncertain. So that tells you how much investment we lost. So with the PIB passed, you have now introduced certainty. People can look at the fiscals, they can do their numbers, investors will come. So in practical terms, this is how we lost investment, because a lot of people who would have come in with foreign direct investment to invest in the oil and gas sector did not come because our fiscal environment was uncertain. They didn't know where we are going with the laws, so everybody was just watching. Today, we have passed this law.
All right.
Anybody from where they are can sit back and look at the fiscal environment, look at it, put their numbers together, and decide on investing in Nigeria. And this is the win that we've been able to achieve today.
Honorable Minister for State for Petroleum Resources, I must say congratulations again on this feat that we have achieved as a nation, passing this PIB, and we hope that better days are ahead for the nation. Thank you so much, Your Excellency Chief Trimipe Silva, for talking to us right here on Channels Television. Well, let's switch gears now. There have been a series of defections over the past days, and the opposition PDP has been the one losing its members to the APC. Tonight, we take a look at the implications, some of the reasons those chieftains of the PDP gave before they left to the APC. Tonight, there's one man that is very passionate about his political party, the PDP. I'm being joined on the program tonight by the Executive Governor of Rivers State, His Excellency Governor Nyesom Wike. Thank you so much, Your Excellency, for joining us tonight. I appreciate your time that you have given us. I know you are a governor of an oil-producing state. Let me get your view on the passage of the PIB. How does this come to you?
I will not give my view yet because the governors are going to meet about the passage today, or whatever it is worth. Yes, the Honorable Minister of State Petroleum has said over the years that they're happy that the bill has been passed. Our own contention is not whether the bill is part of what interest, of what impact, what will be the benefit for the people of the host communities. But we have not seen the total package before we react. So I will not react on it when we know we're going to meet.
Well, for your people and perhaps for your state, because the issue of how the federating units can thrive in all of these issues, do you hope, I mean, because you've been at the federal cabinet before, and some of these issues have come up over and over again, are you hoping that there might be some monies that will come, for example, to River State as an oil-producing state, and that will better the lot of your people with this passage of the bill?
Sure, I think I did intimate, or I did say it will be too early for me to take a position when the governors of the South will meet, which of course are the states that produce oil for this country. My personal view may not matter now. Yes, why not? Obviously, whether the communities in the states will get some money, is that what they want? Is that what they propose? So these are things that will have to take holistically of money that's going to come that will make a great impact on the host communities. But like I said, I don't want to jump the gun because obviously we're going to meet soon.
Well, just because, I mean, let me get the expertise that you have as a lawyer for a bill that has lasted this long, and Nigerians have suffered for the non-passage of the bill. What kind of thing comes to your mind, considering the fact that does it look like a fit for you? Several national assemblies have not been able to do this, but this has happened under the Buhari and this 9th Assembly administration.
That has been political. That has been political. What's important is that whether if a bill has taken 20 years that has been passed, if it has been passed and there's no commensurate benefit from the communities, of what effort, the mere fact that a bill has stayed in the National Assembly for how many years that has not been passed, and now that it has passed, what is the impact on the community? That is the most important thing. It is not whether, assuming the bill stays for 2 days that it was passed, and then the host communities are not going to benefit anything, for example. So why would I jump up to say, okay, the bill has been passed? So it doesn't make sense to me. So the issue is not whether it was passed under Buhari's administration or not. The issue is, at the end of the day, whether I like it or not, that this bill that was passed into law today, why was it that it was not passed in the last assembly? In the last the 8th assembly. Why? So these are things, and today you are talking about the percentage that was given to the host community. Why was it killed? If it were passed in the 8th assembly or whatever, the percentage that was given today would have been the percentage that we would have had as at last assembly. So these are not issues for you to say, okay, it has been passed under Buhari's administration. I don't want to begin to jump on because the PIB bill has been passed into law. No. At the end of the day, what we are talking about is what is the impact, what is the benefit, it has met the aspirations of the host communities. That is the issue.
All right, Your Excellency, let's move away from the PIB. But quickly, there's something I would like you to touch on, which I saw online about the reactions to the rearrest of Ennamdi Cano. Let me get your view. What's your view on the rearrest of this man? Did you get me, Your Excellency? I was going to get your view on the rearrest of Ennamdi Cano.
You said you read something online. What I said should I be able to read what was said?
I saw a video online where some supporters of Ennamdi Cano went to the street in some parts of Port Harcourt asking for fairness and all of that. But let me get your personal view on the rearrest of Ennamdi Cano. it seems you are having...
First of all, this countenance that does not such video. That's why we have to be very careful in the kind of things we see in social media.
Okay, so...
The kind of videos we watch and the kind of things that come up for the social media. However, I've stated clearly, yes, it doesn't matter what differences, it doesn't matter my view as regards to what Nnamdi Kanu stood for. I have said as governor of Rivers State, I do not believe in his principle or the way he wants to actualize Biafra, that Rivers State is not part of Biafra, and that no part of Rivers State is part of Biafra. However, having arrested him, the due process, the law must follow. You cannot just say because you have arrested him, therefore you will not allow justice to prevail. You must follow the due process of the law. And again, do not do it as if in a way that, look, all our target is against a certain section of the country, because it is not only Nnamdi Kanu we are talking about as regards insecurity in the country. We have the bandits, we have the military who have caused a lot of problems. So the government should also endeavor to go after the heads of those areas, all those organizations and associations, and arrest them and bring them to book. In that way, Nigeria will not say, yeah, justice has been done. But if you don't do that, and then you say, oh, we have got Nnamdi Kanu, it will be as if he comes from a particular section of the country. And that is what I raised a lot of issues of injustice, issues of marginalization, which ought not to be. So I'm not in support of Nnamdi Kanu. Anybody knows that, because I've said, if I say cannot, I will not be part of it. But however, allow the law to take its course. As what has been done to Nnamdi Kanu today should also be done to other criminals and bandits who are already parading themselves, moving around in this country. That is our own position.
Let me also go away of the issue of defections. You and your colleagues in the PDP Governors Forum, you went to Gusau in Zamfara State and you met with the governor of Zamfara State a few months back, and you were talking about the need for him to stay back after the rumors of whether he wanted to try to leave the PDP for the APC. Well, it does look like all the efforts you made at that time to make him stay back in the PDP did not work. Are you disappointed by the eventual outcome?
Well, let me start it this way before I talk about being disappointed or not. When we got to Gusau, we knew that he had made up his mind. One, we as if we heard of this, we'd be making effort, we're going to talk to him. When we want to talk to him, with all due respect to him, he had no excuse, nothing terrible to even present to us why he would want to leave. All he take, for example, in fact, I must say this clearly, even though it was a meeting held between our colleagues, amongst our colleagues, he said, look, the governor of Rivers said, I'm not happy. Every time you come out and defend, Benny will stay, but you're not defending me. What has that got to do with the party? Assuming that is correct. So we knew, but we have done what we're supposed to do. But the only way I look at the whole thing is that if this country, certainty tomorrow, why people do this? Because they believe that, oh, well, even if people go to court, how many years will it take before they get to that point? We're already contesting the next election. That is all. That is all. Because that's okay. In the next 3-4 months, we have completed this matter. And that will put an end most of the things that we are seeing. This was a man who never went to tribunal to say, I won an election, or I was rigged out of election, right? Assuming he even did, but that was not brought him into a sort of where APC did not comply with the Electoral Act, with the provisions of the Electoral Act, and PDP went to court to challenge it. He did not, and therefore he couldn't have presented a candidate in that election. That became a pre-election matter. And then PDP, and the court said yes. If APC did not, and which of course was correct, they did not present the candidate, the only candidate that stood for that election was PDP candidate, and therefore the PDP candidate should be sworn in. And now, that's where you sound disappointed. Yes, I should. How would you do that to a party that took everything to make sure that you are enough, even when you knew in that election, it did not challenge you that you won or you were rigged that? No. And I knew, let me tell you why I knew from day one. The day Supreme Court gave him that judgment, and I told my colleagues, I feel like this is a bad omen. I do know a man which was serving with victory and rest left. Yeah, I went to see Mr. I knew something was going wrong. The whole essence of the thing you are saying about the federal is for him to fight the governor, former governor. That is the truth. So but they're using to see that we are no longer comfortable with Governor Yari for him to fight Governor Yari, and that is all. But as far as we are concerned, we are politicians, we wish him good luck. We wish him good luck. But it also tells you on the credibility, on the integrity of people. The way I can't believe that APC will be celebrating that they got Meta, whom they have accused of non-performance in that same state. How do you celebrate a man that you have accused of non-performance? How do you blow hot and cold? So that is my position.
Governor Wike, because the APC, I spoke with an APC governor yesterday, and it does look like this is a deliberate effort in getting a lot of members, especially key members of your party. Has APC approached you? Are you considering maybe joining APC soon?
How can you even ask that kind of question? If Nigerians hear you ask that kind of question, how do you think Nigerians will feel? How dare anybody say to even, it is not negotiable. Let me tell you, when Issa Fontua, I mean, may so rest in peace, when he came with Dele Momodu, when the Guild of Editors had their conference in Port Harcourt, he came with Dele Momodu. And that was the first time I met Dele Momodu, face to face. And I challenged him how he didn't know me, but he was writing all kinds of things against me. But we got on talking. Then later, it's a fantastic look. Why not join the party? I said, sir, with all due respect, it is not an issue to be discussed. In fact, as I speak to him now, I have a migraine, so I don't think I will discuss that matter. It's not something to be discussed about. It is not. It is not. How will any Nigerian hear, even you sitting there, hear that tomorrow I'm discussing with APC tomorrow? I mean, how? What will I explain? Look, if I want to discuss with APC, I will ask them, what do you have on ground? What do you want to do for the people of Rivers State? Then I'll call my people, see what I'm told. And who told me? If I want to go to APC, for example, I can't discuss with anyone, but under Mr. President. And Mr. President will have to tell me what you have to do for Rivers people. And then I have to call my senators, call everybody, meet with Mr. President. Please tell me what you told, repeat what you told me when I met with you. Tell them. I cannot. It's not possible. So you don't even contemplate about it. It does not exist. But these people, because of one thing or the other, they are trying to hide their inadequacies and their inefficiency so that government will protect them. And they're always afraid. And you ask them, who has been fought like Rivers State government by the federal government? Who? What are they afraid of? What are they afraid of? Tell me what was the reason he gave why he left PDP. Tell me one reason he gave. Just tell me. So that I'll be able to say, okay, yes, this is the reason he gave was terrible. This is the reason he gave is correct. So tell me one reason he gave why he left PDP. Tell me one. Tell me.
Your Excellency.
Tell me one.
Yeah, Your Excellency, let me quickly get your view on this. Ebonyi governor has left PDP. Cross River governor left the PDP. Now Zamfara governor has followed suit. In all of these, we are also hearing that yet another governor of the PDP will be leaving for the APC in a matter of days or weeks. Does this bother you at all?
No, it does not bother me. I've been in politics for long. I know. You see, one thing good about politics, people say politics is bad. No, politics is good. It exposes people. It tells you about the characters of human beings. Now, take for example, if you're not in politics, you will know when you have not dealt with people in terms of power, in terms of money, you don't know how they react about it. You don't know. So, and I just ask a simple question. If those who left gave reasons why we are leaving, take for example, if I can remember very well, I said it this morning in your sister station, when the governor of Ebonyi said, look, I'm leaving because the PDP does not take care of Ndigbo, they will not take care of Southeast. And I laughed. I said, okay, what is taken care of? PDP came into power since 1999. Down to 2015 when we lost. So they are holding now in APC. So who has taken care of who? Who? Okay, that PDP had not zoned the presidency to Southeast. Fine, I have no problems with that. Now, you went to where it had been zoned to Southeast for you to now say, yes, why wouldn't I leave? They refuse to give a presidency. Now these people have given a presidency. No. As journalists, somebody gives you that kind of reasons. Well, what do you answer? Now, I talk about crossing our state, with due respect, it's one state I don't want to react to, because all of us know from the beginning. Just that the problem we have in this country, people don't want to speak up. People say, oh, you know, he's a colleague, he shouldn't have said it. So for Christ's sake, what do you mean by colleague? I mean, somebody cannot come out and begin to lie. Somebody cannot come and begin to disparage a party that gave him the opportunity. I contested election when we didn't have a governor in my state. They contested election when there were PDP sitting governors that made them to win election. With due respect. So the difference is clear. When they say the Cross-River state is poor, he wants to join Mr. President to make sure Nigeria moves forward. You have stayed 6 years, for Christ's sake. Mr. President preparing to leave. You are preparing to leave. I am preparing to leave office. It is in these few years, remaining 1 year or 2 years, that you now remember that you want to join Mr. President to move the country forward. What kind of story are you telling anybody? Who buys that? For Christ's sake, we are not kids. Tell us what your problems are. And we know. We know. This is the gave. What are the reasons? If they gave, what are the reasons? Then you can say, yes, the reasons they gave are very cogent reasons that, of course, anybody who has this kind of problem should leave the party. But nothing. I have had problems with the party. I believe I'll fight it in the party. I believe so. Because this is the party that gave me everything from 1999. What excuse can I have to now say, oh, the party did this yesterday? No way. Whatever the grievances are, whatever my problems are, you don't expect in a system where you are, everything must be rose. Comes the time that this will be bad. It is for you. I've been a mature person. I've the capacity to withstand and to say, look, I should be able to the party. And like I said before, anybody who likes it or not, I will be in this party. I will fight it out. Those who like me or not will fight it out. Not for me to give excuses for, okay, you know, the party did this, the party did that. But you didn't know the party did that. They gave you the ticket that made you to be the governor, that made you to be a senator. And now you're looking for excuses here and there. And you generally should help this country. You should help the country. Ordinarily, we shouldn't be talking about all these flimsy excuses here and left, right, and center. Who do you expect? I've been a busy governor since December last year. You're talking about commissioning and flagging up, and people are busy going to another state to receive a governor that has become to a party, as if they have survived, they have succeeded. The problem of Nigeria today is insecurity. The problem of Nigeria today is poverty. The problem of Nigeria today is corruption. It's not to go and receive a governor somewhere. 16 governors will leave. You have nothing to show. I have no such time. You can watch it every day. We are busy. We are busy. Let Nigerians see what we are doing. Not to go and tell me that we are receiving a governor that you have already said the governor is a non-performer. The governor cannot handle issue of security. Now that you have said it, I mean, it's that way.
On a final note, and perhaps within the next 60 seconds, Your Excellency, for us to close, it appears from what political analysts and the permutations that we're seeing, that the defections that we are seeing and the luring of the leaders of your party to the APC looking so much like an effort to decimate the PDP such that it might be too weak to fight for an election in 2023. Your party's main objective is to gain power back at the center. With what we're saying, we're also hearing that internal issues of removing the leadership of your party at the center. Can your party, with what is happening, seriously contest for 2023 election with what is happening?
What is that is happening that has never happened before in any political setting? What's wrong? Did the APC not remove their leadership? Did they not remove their leadership? So what is wrong if I remove their leadership? And for Christ's sake, who is going to die if leadership is removed? Who? APC removed their own leadership. Are they not surviving? So what is all this hula badu about removing leadership and not removing leadership? The point is, in every political setup, you must have some of these internal problems. It is there. You cannot run away from it. Politics is interest. Everybody, there are some perceived interests. There are some, people raise all kinds of allegations and these people are doing this, people are not doing that. It's part of the political processes. You don't need to bother yourself. And I tell you, there are key states you must win in this country to become president of Nigeria. With due respect to you, you need to win Kano State. If you win Kano State, you win Lagos State. If you don't win Kano and Lagos, you need to win either Kano and Lagos, or Kano and River, or Lagos and River. Whether anybody likes it or not, it is the truth. It's not, yes, all you want to do is to have the spread, which is, of course, there's no way people cannot have spread. But the point is clear. It has nothing to do with PDP. It has to do with the Nigeria. Is Nigeria going to still allow this kind of party that have fallen to this kind of level of insecurity, this kind of party that have shown poverty to Nigeria, this kind of party have shown no capacity to move Nigeria forward? And Nigeria is willing to still allow them to begin to say, there's a crisis in PDP. What? In every family, there are crises. In every institution, in every organization. So it shouldn't be. APC had their own crisis. They removed the national, the category committee. People were keen against it. So it's part of the process. Now you're not saying that we're going to go us in. That does not mean you will not see the crisis in APC. It will come. Every company has its own time period about. All right. Governors leaving. We have identified these governors before now.
Governor Nyesom Wike, Executive Governor of Rivers State, I must sincerely thank you tonight for your time and the thought that you have shared. Thank you so much for your time for appearing on tonight's program. Well, it's the first day of July 2021. It's not only that it is the first day of July, it's a special day. And today we celebrate our chairman, Mr. John Momo. Happy birthday to you and congratulations. And that's our show for today, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'm sure Kimale. Bye-bye.